Welcome back and happy Halloween. This is special second ever edition of Price Charting for the Silent Hill series. So, music in the background is from Silent Hill 2. So, with that said, and at the side, of course, as always, I usually wear this, my ghost jacket. And I thought today, since it is Halloween, wear my ghost shirt. So, with that said, and ghost beanie. But anyways, let's get started. First up, looking at the original classic Silent Hill from, of course, the PlayStation 1. Originally, at this time last year, a physical copy of Silent Hill was going for $151.07. Same time this year, it is going for $166.83. Now, keep in mind, this is the black label version. Now, strangely enough, the greatest hits is going for almost as much, weirdly enough. It's right now hovering just about maybe 20 or so dollars less than the black label version. So not a humongous higher amount. Now, keep in mind also, this is all complete in box copies. So, manual and everything. So, with that said, but yeah, $166. Where do I say? Next year, I think it's going to stay relatively steady. It did go up about $15 from last year. I think it's going to go relatively steady right now, as the lockdown stuff is pretty much over now. But still, it might go up in there a couple of bucks. Hard to say, honestly. Silent Hill 1, but with the renewed interest with Silent Hill right now, after the announcement of Silent Hill 2 Remake and new projects and stuff, it may actually make the price go up more. Since there is still no re release yet, and I wish Sony would do a digital re release at least with the premium PS Plus membership, would be a nice incentive. But with that said, now the PAL region version of Silent Hill 1 is hovering this time last year was going for $89 and this year's going for $87. So it dropped a little over $2. I think it's going to stay relatively steady or possibly go down a little, as PAL seems to me that Silent Hill isn't quite as popular in Europe as it is here in North America, especially thanks to the Silent Hill movie and other things, and it's so critically appraised here in North America. But also, Japanese version at this time last year was going for $22, pretty much dirt cheap. Now, strangely enough, Silent Hill 1 has gone up quite a decent amount from last year. It's gone from $22 last year at this time to $37 this year. So it's seen a pretty decent spike. We're talking probably about a 80% increase in price. Though still at $37, it's a fraction of the price of really here in America, and it's about a little less than 50% of what it is in the Europe. So I would say by far, I do think it's gonna actually continue going up, personally. Strangely enough, Silent Hill seems to be in Japan, sort of like also Fatal Frame in Japan, which is interesting. Also, Silent Hill 2, this time last year, now keep in mind this is PS2 version, was going teetering around complete in box and stuff. Now, this was on price charting, not prices on eBay, which tend to be higher. But it was going for about $95.43 this time last year for Silent Hill 2, which is still down from the year prior in 2020. Now, it has technically gone up a little. It is going for about 98.36 here in the US. Now, strangely enough, the greatest hits version of Silent Hill 2 is actually going for more than the Black Label version, which is quite interesting. Though it's because it also got more additional content in the greatest hits version. Now, I think it's going to stay relatively steady, if not go up a little more. because with the announcement of a remake, I think more people are going to be interested in playing the original Silent Hill 2. Um, in PAL regions, same time last year, it was going for about $57. This year, it's going for about $50. So it went down $7 in the past year in PAL regions. So if you're in PAL regions, this might be a good time to collect Silent Hill 2. The Japanese version was going for around $27 last year. This year it's going for about right around $31.50. So it's gone up about $4.50 from last year. Keep in mind inflation and everything also plays a contributing factor into values of things as well. The PC version, funny enough, and yeah, there was a physical PC release for Silent Hill 2. It is by far the most expensive version of the game. It is going for about $154 for the PC version of Silent Hill 2. So, if by chance you know someone who has Silent Hill 2 on PC, might want to try to get the hands on it. Um, and with that said, now we're looking at. Keep in mind though, actually that was last year. This year it's going for $139. So it's still going for quite a bit. It's still going for a decent amount more than the regular version on console. Now, with that said, the Silent Hill 2 Xbox version, which goes for definitely less, and I do highly recommend if you have an original Xbox, get Silent Hill 2 and 4 The Room on Xbox, as especially Silent Hill 2, known as Restless Memories and stuff, is the superior version as it has a lot of extra content, and it's definitely the better version to play, in my opinion, as someone who has tried both versions. But with that said, here's an interesting thing. The Xbox version, though, this time last year was going for $46, and this year it's going for a little over $44.50. So it's actually seen about a $1.50 drop from year prior. So, yeah, or Xbox version is still a relatively affordable port of the game. If you want to play a solid, good version, I do recommend picking up the Xbox version if you don't want to pay the PS2 prices, as it's half the price. And I don't really recommend getting the HD. It's definitely, but if you are going to risk again the Silent Hill HD, get the 360 version because it had more updates and patches. So it's better than the PS3 version, but that's not saying a lot. With that said, also the PAL regions on Xbox is going for about $34.50. Not too bad. A little bit cheaper, like a $10 cheaper than the American. This year, it's going for about $33.30, so it's seen a little over a dollar drop. So for PAL regions, good time to collect it. Japanese version, funny enough, I couldn't find sales numbers this time last year, weirdly enough, for some reason on Pricecharting, but it does show for this year, it's showing around $60 for the Japanese version. So Japanese is, funny enough, the most expensive version on Xbox, which is quite fascinating. Next we have Silent Hill 3, which of course was only released on PS2. Of course was a direct sequel to Silent Hill 1, obviously. Silent Hill 3, this time last year on the PS2, arguably the most expensive Silent Hill game to collect. It was hovering about $137.75. Very pricey if you ask me. And it's kind of crazy I think it's going for that much. I thought last year it might go up more, and funny enough, now looking at this year, prediction was right. It did go up. It is hovering right now for the American version about 150. So it has seen over a $12 jump from last year. But then again, also keep in mind over a 10% inflation and stuff right now, economically speaking. So not surprising. But still, 150 bucks is kind of absurd. So I could see why some people would end up getting the HD collection because it's definitely the cheaper alternative for Silent Hill 3. The Silent Hill 2 you can still find reasonably priced depending on ports. Like I say, Xbox version much more affordable, and I do highly recommend collecting it, as well as Silent Hill 4. as they're more reasonable. But yeah, with 3, unfortunately, you don't have that option. Um, Now, the PAL regions of Silent Hill 3, last year it was going for about $30.66. This year it's going for about $33.32. So almost a $3 increase from year prior, but still, it's relatively very affordable, honestly. The PAL version is going for a fraction compared to, yeah, other versions. Oh no, my bad. I was looking at the wrong thing. It's last year it was going for $45. This year it's going $35. So actually a $10 drop. While the American version saw over a $12 jump. So that's interesting. So if you live in Power Region, might be a good time to pick up your version of Silent Hill 3. Japanese version was teetering around $22 last year. This year it's teetering right around $40, so it's seen almost a double an increase. But even at $40, it is still reasonably priced, though. Funny enough, the PAL version is right now the cheapest version. PC also, weirdly enough, does have numbers. Last year, PC version was going for about $97. This year it's going for $99. So it's by far the second most expensive version of. So that's quite interesting. However, now we go on to Silent Hill for the Room, first PS2 version. This time last year, it was going for right around $100, and I thought it might go up maybe or stay even. It went up. It saw almost a $9 increase. It is now just shy of $110 for Silent Hill for the Room. Not surprised, as more over the years, I think more people are starting to look back more fondly of Silent Hill for the Room, as I have been a defender of the game for quite some time now. I will argue it is, in my opinion, in probably the top 3 best Silent Hill games of all time, but I'm a big defender of Silent Hill 4 as well as a big defender of Silent Hill Downpour. Those are 2 games I will continuously defending. But with that said, PAL version of Silent Hill for the Room is teetering just over $30, very reasonable. It has gone up about $3 from year prior, so it's still very affordable for the PAL versions. If you're curious about Japanese version, you're looking at about $30.59. Last year, this year, about $32.50. So it has seen almost a $2 increase. Still far cheaper than the American version. Both the PAL and Japanese ports are far more affordable. PC version, interestingly enough, again, is interesting. It was about $72 at this time last year. This year it's going for about $56. So it has seen a decent price drop, unlike other PC ports of Silent Hill games. Seems like For the Room has actually gone down, however. So right now, by far, the US version on PS2 is by far the most expensive version. It's definitely the most coveted after version. Silent Hill for the Room on original Xbox, year prior, here in the US, it was going for about $49. And this year, it's going for around $49. It has only changed about 10 cents over the past year. So I think moving forward, it's still going to stay relatively steady, personally. On the PS2 version of the Room, I think it's going to go up a little bit more, personally. Looking at definite numbers and things just right now, just studying patterns and everything on sales and interest, more people seem to be interested in having the PS2 versions over the original Xbox version, which is why I continue saying pick up the original Xbox version if you have the opportunity. I believe you can play it on the 360 as well. So with that said, now, with the Xbox version, there is info on the PAL version. It was going for last year about $17.56. This year, it's going for just shy of $21. So, yeah, if you live in PAL region, have an opportunity to get original Xbox, pick up the Silent Hill games while the opportunity. I mean, The fact that you all can get it for like $20 or just a little more than that for Silent Hill 4, that is ridiculously good price in my opinion. Now, with that said, next up, looking at Silent Hill Origins. First up, looking at the first version that was released, which was the PSP version. Here in the US, it was going for about $38 last year, and this year's going for right around $39, so it's gone up $1. That is it. So it's staying very steady. I think it will probably stay relatively steady. I don't see the PSP version really skyrocketing. There's not a huge amount of interest in the PSP ports of the Silent Hill games, or specifically two Silent Hill games, I should say, that it got in total. But with that said, yeah, it might go up, but I don't see it drastically changing. PAL version of the game is going for was last year going for just over $22. This year is going for right around $25. So it saw close to a $3 increase overall. I think it may go up a little or stay relatively steady, like I think the American version, and there's no info on the Japanese version, weirdly enough. Now, with Silent Hill Origins for the PS2, which is definitely probably the most coveted port of the two versions that were released, I'm glad I picked up years back for very cheap. But if you're curious, Silent Hill Origins has actually become one of the most pricey to collect in America, as the American version of Origins last year was going for right around $106. This year it's going for just a little over $103. It dropped almost $3, but it's staying very high. It is still by far one of the top three, like, more expensive American games by far to collect. Really, it and Silent Hill 4 are two of the most expensive. Now, with that said, PAL versions were going for last year at this time about $75. This year it's going for about $83, so it's seen a several dollar increase. However, I think it's going to stay relatively steady. It might go up a little more on the PAL. It's more the US version that is much more unpredictable, though it might stay steady or it might go up. It's really hard to say. Origins is one of the more harder to predict Silent Hill games, in my opinion, because there's very mixed opinions on the game. With that said, next up we look at Shattered Memories, arguably one of the more unique games, as I have on years ago I got to play it on PS2. It is unfortunate I did not buy it when I had the opportunity, so instead I had to go with the Wii version, which I recently did a quick review on. Check it out if you're at all interested, or check out a thorough review on the game by the YouTuber NitroRad. So, with that said, the PSP version this time last year was going for about $115, pretty pricey. This time this year, it's going for about $90. So, it has seen around a $15 decrease in value over the past year. I actually could see it maybe going down a little more or staying relatively steady. I don't think it's going to go back up a huge amount just because, one, it's the PSP version, and less people really talk about Shattered Memories PSP. When people bring up Shattered Memories, it's either the PS2 version or the Wii version. No one really ever talks about the PSP port, weirdly enough, unlike with Origin. But with that said, PAL version, you're looking at probably about $48 at this time last year. This year it's going for about $40, so it saw a $8 decrease. So $40 for the PAL version. I would say if you're curious about getting Shattered Memories on PSP or some, this is the time to do it, and you may want to look about importing from Japan, as the PSP has no region lock. It's region lock free, so you can play import. So you might want to think about looking into getting the PAL version, as it is a much more affordable option from the American version, as it is the American version is over double the price. Now, with that said, looking at the PS2, the most sought after version of the game, by far the most expensive Silent Hill game to collect. Shattered Memory for the PS2 This time last year was about $238. This year it's hovering around $260. It has seen over a $20 increase from last year. I was not expecting that. I thought it might go down, which it did with like the PSP and stuff. However, the PS2 has instead gone up more. And with the new renewed interest of Silent Hill, unfortunately, I'd see it going up more. I could even see it maybe crossing the 300 mark, which is absurd. PAL version, if you're interested, this time last year was going for about 113, and this year's going for about $122. So it's all a $9 increase. So if you're in PAL regions, or you're at all in. Now, unfortunately, unlike with PSP, PS2 does have region lock, unfortunately. So unless you have a PAL version or know a way to override region lock, there's really not much that can be done, unfortunately, for the PAL version, or unless you live in PAL region. Now, with that said, looking at then the Wii version. Um, at this time last year, the Wii version was going for about $63, starting to get pricey, but still relatively affordable for collectors. At this time this year, it is currently one of the more expensive Wii games to collect. Right now, the Wii version of Shattered Memories is hovering around $82 now. It's seen a $19 increase. That is quite a jump from last year, but I think it's because there's now new interest in Wii collecting and stuff now. So I think for some, like people who grew up with the Wii, are now starting to get in the age range to maybe start feeling some nostalgia for early Wii games, and I think that will definitely show in prices in the next 5 years for Wii games. I would not be one bit surprised. But yeah, now that's around $82. Yeah, I mean, if you're, is still by far the cheapest port to play of the game if you're at all interested in Shattered Memories. The PAL version was going for about $49 at this time last year, and this year it's going for $43, so it actually saw a several dollar decrease. Now, unfortunately, the Wii is also region locked, so that sucks. Now we're getting to the more recent stuff. Silent Hill Homecoming is not a super high in demand game. It is arguably, in many people's opinions, the worst Silent Hill game of all time, in many people's opinions, uh, myself included. But PS3 version of Silent Hill Homecoming at this time last year was going for about $22.78. This time this year, it is hovering about $18.64, saw about $4 decrease. The fact you can get for under $20, if you're all curious about Homecoming, pick it up now while it is dirt cheap, in my opinion. Because just because even though it's not a great game, it's a Silent Hill game, which means it will retain its value over time. History is showing that. I mean, even with Shattered Memories on the Wii, it's now over $80, so don't sleep on this at all. PAL version was going for just shy of just shy of $15 last year. This year's going for just shy of $17, so it's all almost a little over a $2 increase in price, but even then, still very affordable. Now, looking at the 360 version in the US, it was going for just shy of $20 last year. Now, it's going for right around $15 this year. So, yeah, if you have a 360, pick up Homecoming. PAL version is going for about, at this time last year, was going for a little less, but overall, PAL version is cheaper route to go on either port. Then we have Downpour, which is the game, of course, I defend. Um, at this time last year, it was going up quite a bit, which surprised me. But like I said, Silent Hill. But at this time last year, it was going for $46. This year, it's going for about $42. Saw a $4 decrease in value overall. I think it actually is going to go back up, though, honestly. Um, it is over time starting to get, I think, some more appreciation, like as well as Homecoming and Shattered Memories. With that said, Power Regions last year was going for about $53. This year it's going for about $45. So it's all a decent decrease. I think it's going to go relatively steady for now in Power Regions. 360 version last year was going for about $42. This year's going for about 41. So it's all about a dollar decrease, and that is it. Not a huge change. So either way you go, 360 or PS3, either are going to be over $40 for the game, regardless. PAL version was going for about 41 last year, and it's hovering right around 40 this year. So about a dollar decrease. Then we have the Silent Hill HD. First PS3 version, which last year was going for $20. This year it's going for a little over 18 and a half, about $18.70. So it is very cheap by far. PAL version, though, weirdly enough, is going for more. Last year it was going for $38. This year it's going for about $34. It's a decrease, but it's still over a $10 higher than the American version. Keep in mind PS3. 360 version is going for a little more. It's going for about $26.50 last year at this time. This year it's going for a little over $27.50, so about a dollar increase. Power Region version was going for about $34 last year. It's going for about $30 this year, so also saw a small decrease. But by far the 360 version is on average trending for several dollars more, or rather, at least here in America, than the PS3 version. Though in PAL regions, the PS4 is, or PS3 is going for more. And last but not least, uh, Book of Memories for the Vita exclusively. The US version at this time last year was trending for about $62. This year it's going for about $53. It saw a $9 decrease. Unlike many games on the Vita, it's one of the few that actually saw a several dollar decrease instead of going up. The PAL version was going for about $78 last year, which is interesting going for that much more than the US. This year it's going for $53, so it's about the same as the US. So it saw by far the biggest decrease, as it lost about $25 of its value in 1 year. So apparently collectors of, I guess, surprisingly, Vita collectors maybe have lost some interest in Book of Memories. Now, like I said before, it's not a great Silent Hill game, but it is a good, solid dungeon crawler. So with that said, that is it for this update 2022 edition of Price Charting the Silent Hill series. And this will probably be an annual thing once every October. So with that said, have a happy Halloween, as we are Halloween Day. Hopefully you enjoyed the Silent Hill music in the background, and I'll see you all next time. And I will be uploading today also a quick review on my secondary channel for the original Nightmare on Elm Street. With that said, I'll see y'all soon enough. Same YouTube time, same YouTube channel.